Here one. Well, we're back again here, and I want to do another video, and I want to call this one Create Your Own Reality While You Live in Timeline Reality as You Know It. And I was sitting here the other day, and I was thinking about something. I was thinking about how I have created over the last few years a world, if you will, unique to me. And I find I really don't participate in the other world, the world that's out there manifesting and doing its thing. And I was talking to Nicole, I think it was about a week ago, and she said, Mel, she said, you're really quite amazing. She said, whether you realize it or not, do you know that you have created a reality, a world within the world that's unique to you, that you're totally in control of. You do what you want to do when you want to do it, and you live exactly the way that you want to live. You do the things that you love to do, and you don't do anything else. And she said to me, do you realize how fortunate you are? And I thought about it, for a minute, and I kind of had to reflect upon it, and I started thinking about, wow, excuse me, as I go back over the years, I can remember back when I had a job, one of those things. And don't get me wrong here, I'm going to sound as though I'm talking negative about, working at a job. And I know there's a lot of people who are, perfectly happy and totally fulfilled coming in, basically going to school, go to high school, college, whatever, get themselves a job, get married, live in the burbs, barbecue every weekend, have a few beers, maybe go twice a year, go to, Honduras, Cancun, who name it, on vacation. And they're perfectly happy, and they'll do that from birth to death. However, there would appear to be quite a number of us who have difficulty fitting that mold. And we are usually considered to be, at the very least, rebels, the black sheep of the family, ones who just won't conform. And a lot of us who really have difficulty living in a very controlled environment. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter what you really say, we live in a very controlled environment. And since the tribulation showed up, it's even more controlled. And I can see young people are starting to have a real issue with it. And obviously they feel like they're immortal and it doesn't matter. So a few of them are going to learn it the hard way, however. And I can recall, going to work at my job. Don't get me wrong, I had a good job, paid well, lots of benefits, and a very good pension at the end. And a lot of the guys were perfectly happy with it. They loved their work. I hated it right from day one. But that doesn't mean it didn't pay well and it didn't have good benefits. It did. For that, I'm grateful. I'll always be grateful for that. But I didn't belong there at that job. I did it because I had to. I did it because you have to eat, you have to put a roof over your head. And I remember even getting married. More, I think, because I actually liked the woman that I married. I don't think I was in love because I didn't know what it was at the time. My concept at that time was love was great sex, kind of deal. Had a very limited state of consciousness, to say the least. But I got married just simply because all my friends did. And all that time, things were beginning to bother me, and I had this feeling that something was wrong. I didn't belong here. It didn't fit. And I know there's many people out there who are like this. And I started to see over a period of time, some of my friends get involved with medication, self-medication, having to take pharmaceutical drugs to get through their day or get through their life because they were so depressed or unhappy or sad. And we have a multitude of people on the planet doing the same thing right now, even young people. Some of us can't handle it all, and we leave by whatever means is necessary to us. Teenagers, older people. And I did the same. I self-medicated for a long time because I was not happy. And I reached a point one day where I actually was considering checking out. I remember it very well. I had been sitting there and having a few rockets, and if you don't know what a rocket is, it's a beer. I'd had a few, and I said, that's it, there's not much point in me being here. So I went into the room, I got out one of my shotguns. I used to hunt a little bit at that time. And, this is the brilliance I was in, great state of mind. When you're going to do yourself in, one shot will usually do. So I put 3 shells in the gun. That's how where I was, and I considered it. And then I realized that this was not an answer, not for me anyway. And at that moment, I made a change, and I decided right then and there at that moment, I can recall it very well, I was about 35, 36, that I wasn't going to live by everybody else's rules, conditions, habit patterns, and belief systems anymore. That I was going to do the best I could while I was here to create my own reality, my own world, all by myself, with input from other people, of course. So after spending some time in AA, many of you have heard of it, I came to the conclusion that alcoholism wasn't a disease, it was a living problem. I wasn't a drunk. I was a person who was having a living problem. I drank because that way I could get away from it all. Most of you know that earlier. So from that point on, I started on a gradual basis creating my own world. And this is what I'm going to suggest to people. Rather than be a rebel, rather than resist the system, what I decided to do was get the system to work for me. And so what I did, I started studying people's behavior, watching their lifestyle. This is all before I learned how to meditate. Excuse me. And I started to see some holes in the system, and I started to see that people, through no fault of their own, were being programmed for lifestyles and situations and relationships simply through belief systems. Because I remember I got married because all my friends did, so I thought that's what I was supposed to do too. So I did. And I married a very nice lady, but it didn't work, obviously, because I didn't fit the system. I didn't want to be in that system anymore, so I started to evolve beyond it. So over the years, what happened is I learned how to meditate, and at that particular point, you cannot say that I was an outgoing personality. I wasn't. I was very shy, introverted. And I didn't have any creative abilities except what I learned to do at work. I didn't know anything about empathy, sincerity, or compassion, or intuitiveness. Nothing. But I learned to meditate. And when I started to learn how to meditate, I would do a strange thing. I started, and I used to do it in my head when I started creating a world inside my head, like a fantasy, where I lived the way I wanted to live, within reason, not being wild or radical or anything like that. A life where I could feel happy, just being me, living my lifestyle the way I wanted, and having the amount of money that I knew that I would need to make me feel fulfilled and creative. And I started taking a look at different things that I would think or thought I might like to do, visualizing them and seeing them, and I tinkered with it and played with it. I didn't like this one, I like that one. And the one idea that kept coming back and back and back and back and back and back all the time is I remember one particular scenario. I was actually visualizing myself as a shrink, if you can believe it. I was visualizing myself as a shrink, and I'm talking to this other person and trying to understand something about their lifestyle and what they were doing. And as I'm visualizing myself talking to this person, fantasizing, if you will, I got a really funny feeling. It was a feeling like, wow, this is really interesting. I really like this. I like the feeling. So I started adding it in to what I was visualizing. I never told anybody about it. I never told anybody about it till today, actually. And I spent about 6 months doing that. Every chance I had, I didn't even call it meditation. I just kind of went into myself and actually started seeing these things, and I'd take a few moments to do it, 15, 20 minutes, pretty much every day. And then the next thing you know, I learned how to meditate, and I went and joined a meditation class. And I think I've mentioned this before. The lady was going on a holiday and she wanted to volunteer, and she asked me to teach the class. I've only been there for about a month or so. And I said, me teach a class? I said, you gotta be kidding me. She said, no. She said, I kind of tap into you and I just think that you probably would like it. I said, really? And obviously I said no, and she talked me into it. Anyways, I did it. To make a long story short, what happened after that is people actually liked what I had to say, and I don't even remember what I said the night that I was doing it. I just kind of went into my head and kind of visualized what I might say, beforehand, before the night that I actually taught the first class. Just kind of, lots of days ago, went into my, how it works when you fantasize something. I just kind of fantasized how it would kind of go, kind of thing, and kind of seeing myself kind of leading the class, and holy shit, man, I was getting into it. This is cool. I liked it. So, when I saw it in my head, and it was so friggin' real, and I could feel the feeling and the emotion and everything else that was going on with it, and I went ahead and did it. And when I did it, actually, I was really scared first. I thought I was going to, dirty my knickers before I actually did it. But then when I did it, everything just seemed to flow out. I don't know if you remember talking about it, just everything flowed, people loved it. Anyways, she said, go ahead and start your own class. I said, okay, well, I think I'll think about it. So I did that silly thing again. I went into my head and started thinking about it. It seemed to be like a much better idea than going to work. The more I thought about all these fun things I wanted to do, which actually, in fact, involved a lot of other people, the more I liked it. And it was really funny because the more I liked it, I got this really weird feeling inside of me. I felt happy. I really felt happy. So I think at that time when I was that young, I actually found my happy button. Are you catching on where it is yet? Right. So anyways, a few weeks later, I decided to do a meditation class on my own. Now remember something. Here's a guy who self-medicated for a long time, 35, 36 years old, pretty much considering that, life needed to change and needed to change dramatically. I wasn't expecting miracles, but this feeling wouldn't go away. That I wanted to be in a world where I could create my own world. So I started a meditation class. And you know what? Every time that I started something new, I always remember the fear. Every time that something like that has happened, I always got to face the fear of stepping out and doing something new. And I started to realize something. Probably most people who've got any creative ability don't really do anything with it because they're afraid. I actually do believe there are a lot of people out there that are working at jobs who are just afraid to create their own reality or their own world. And the only thing that stops them is that fear. Because I see a lot of people nowadays, what they're doing, they're developing creative abilities and this, that, and the other thing. And when I talk to them, they give me all kinds of excuses why they're not doing it. They know they have the ability, and they go around and around the multiverse and give me all of these illogical excuses of why they're not doing something with it. Yes, there are some that do, but the majority don't. They stick with their job and they're not happy and this, that, and the other thing. And I knew and I realized something that if you really want to do something, you're going to have to take a risk. You're going to have to step out, put your neck out, and stick it out, and with the idea that, hey, it might not work. But something that I learned is don't give up. Never give up when you have a dream, when you have a vision of something you wanted to accomplish. So having said that to you, what transpired after that point is, lo and behold, the meditation class was so successful, I ended up having 3 of them. And at that particular point, I was at the point where I bought myself a house. Me, all by myself. I bought myself a house, a little house. Fixed it up a little bit. It was my house. Mine. I never expected to own one. But if you're going to do a meditation class, you've got to do it someplace. And I figured, well, if I'm going to do it someplace, I want to have a place where I can live in it too. I mean, this just seemed logical to me. So I ended up buying a house. Now I got property. Plus I got 3 classes going. But I figured, well, this is really getting good. So I started visualizing even more. I started seeing things, okay, well, now, how can I expand upon this? I used to get really crazy with my visualizations. I mean, really, they become so real in my head that I could actually see them. They were real. They were that real. And the next thing you know, I got people calling me from the meditation class. They said, I got this little problem. Can you help me with it? How the hell am I going to help you? I don't know nothing about people problems. I don't. But then again, I did, because I had all of the problems that pretty much everybody has these days. And I used to medicate to get rid of them, or avoid them, cop out, or not do them, kind of thing. And I started to realize, you know what, Mel? Some of the stuff you did in the past that you found it so hard and difficult and challenging to do is actually been a very good teaching aid, because it's giving you more freedom to really express who you really want to do and who you really want to be and create this world of your own. I'm saying, holy shit. Maybe there's a lot of people out there who are living a similar kind of thing right now, who are actually just getting ready to create their own reality within the reality that we now live in a limited state of consciousness, and they're getting there. So, all of a sudden now, I got a full-time job. I'm working 3 shifts. I bought a house. All of this happened in less than 2 years. All right, because I got crazy in my head. Okay, because I wasn't, guzzling beer every day. I don't have time to use this thing between my ears in a very productive and positive way. So it was working. And I got people calling me and I'm giving free advice on the phone. I'm saying, well, this is ridiculous. I'm working days, afternoons, and graveyards, and somewhere in there I got to get some sleep. And I'm now doing 3 meditation classes, and I'm starting to counsel people. You got to remember something here. Okay, you got to remember something. I only got a grade 8 education. I never finished high school. Okay, so compared to just about every one of you, I'm a dummy. Okay, you all got the certificates and the diplomas out there. I don't have one. Okay, I don't have a diploma or certification for anything. I'm what you call an L natural, but I didn't know that. Okay, some people simply don't believe the knowledge and experience that I've acquired over very, very few years. Anyway, so I figured, well, this has got to stop because this is just, I'm not getting any sleep. So I said, okay, that's no more counseling. I'm not doing it anymore. So then a lady calls me up one day. She says, Mel, I got to talk to you. I said, I'm not doing counseling anymore. She said, no, come on, I'll pay you. I'll pay you for a session. I said, well, how much are you going to pay me? And she told me I almost fell on the floor. She really wanted my help. And I said, okay, if you're going to pay me, I'm definitely not going to say no. So anyways, I run into another problem after that. You see? So now I got a full-time job. I own a house. I got 3 meditation classes, and I got counseling all starting to happen. And I'm still doing this thing in my head. I'm visualizing my world as I want to see it unfolding. And you know what? It's actually falling in line with what I'm seeing in my head. All right. And one other thing that I didn't do, I didn't tell anybody else what I was doing in my head. I'm telling you now, if you have a visualization or what you call a dream, don't tell anybody. Keep your mouth shut. Make it happen, and then they'll all drool. Then you can tell them how it happened and how you did it. But don't tell them anything in the beginning, and I didn't do that. I didn't tell anybody. Keep your mouth shut. People got a hard time to do that these days. Keep your mouth shut. Make it right in here first, and in here. And you don't have to explain anything. So anyway, moving right along and creating my own reality within this reality. Now I'm getting in a tacky situation because I got a full-time job and I got 3 meditation classes, and now I'm doing counseling. And these are like 1 hour, sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours. And the counseling clients are starting to pile up. And the income is going up. And I started to realize something, I got a problem here. This is a problem a lot of people would like to be in. I can't do both anymore. It's too much. So I said to myself, well, what the hell am I going to do now? And I started visualizing it. And I'm looking at my full-time job and all of the benefits that are there, paid this, paid that, plus a kick-ass pension at the end of it. And then I got all of this stuff that I visualized. I created my own reality that's supplying me an income. And I'm going to say, what am I going to do now? I don't know what to do. And I was afraid. I was afraid at that point again to make a decision. So I made a mistake. I went to work one day and I had a very good friend who was a supervisor. And I asked him if I could have a chat with him for a minute. And made a chat, and I told him what was going on. He kind of knew anyway. And he asked me how was it going. I said it was going real good. I said, I can't do both. One of them's got to go. And he said, well, you're obviously going to have to either tone down the extra stuff you're doing or just give it up, because you're only a few years away from full pension. Well, I shouldn't have done that, because next thing I know, word got around, as word gets around, I got about 3 or 4 of them calling me all in. And they're saying, what the hell are you doing, Mel? You're nuts. Caught up in this spiritual thing and what's going on kind of deal. And you know how this stuff works. Okay, just when you're trying to be free and doing something, you got somebody, family or whomever around you trying to convince you, you need to stay where you are and be the person that you are. And hey, be there for them and, do what everybody else wants you to do and do what society wants you to do. They want you to fly away for 2 weeks and, every year, twice a year. They want you to go there and do this and add to the economy by spending money in different places or this, that, and the other thing. I think basically sometimes I've thought this to myself, all they want from people is to continue to keep us in the consumer mode. Okay, well, we can't be happy unless we go to this country for holiday. We can't be happy unless we're driving this new car. Or we can't be happy unless we have this piece of furniture. Or we can't be happy unless we have Amazon. Or we have Netflix. Or we don't have this. All right? And I got tired of everybody telling me what I need to make me feel happy. Don't you? Do you ever get tired of people telling you that? You need this for you to be happy? You need another person to make you happy? You ever get tired of that shit? Because actually, when I got my house, the first thing I did on top of all of that things, I took about a year off, year and a half at most, and I stayed single. I didn't go out with anybody. I didn't date, didn't do anything. I just spent time with this most wonderful guy. I'm starting to find out who the hell he was. Me. How the hell you can do that when you're getting distracted by all these people? So, you see what I'm saying? But along the way, other people who have gone through a similar type of thing, they don't have any input, okay? They don't have someone to tell them what's going on or what's happening to them. So they continue on in the program there, and I almost went there. I almost knew that if I didn't change something, I was going to die. Because I didn't like the world I was living. I never liked it from the time I was a kid. There were a whole lot of things that I thought were not right. All right? And when I look around today and I see what we're doing to the planet, okay? And I see so many people, they don't care. All they care about is them. Having a good time, their life. That's how much I've changed in the way that I feel. And even in my seclusion, my controlled environment, my happy place that I live in, I still see what's going on. And you know what? Even in my happy place right now, I still go into my head. And guess what I'm doing now? Now, occasionally what I'm doing is I'm seeing the climate being corrected. I'm seeing people do things and change to bring it back into balance, to change our concept of relationships, to do all of that stuff. And you know what? Now I have more power. And I have authenticity. And I have sincerity. And I am a co-creator. And I create, impress, and give knowledge and information unconditionally with no hidden agenda on my part. And every one of you can be a co-creator also. You don't have to live in this world and conform. You create your reality, I create my reality, and they will be similar. Another person creates their reality in another part of the world, another person creates their reality in another part of the world, and all of a sudden, the numbers of authenticity, sincerity, and co-creating will impregnate, that's the word, the collective consciousness. So when you create your reality within this reality, it hits your happy button in your space. You're adding to the collective consciousness with your knowledge, your wisdom, and everything else. Let me continue. So, I decided one day, by seeing it in my head, I got that feeling that I needed to leave my wonderful paying job, and I know many of you have done this also. And I did. And it's kind of unique because all of those people at work who told me that I was crazy and nuts to give up the job that I had with the benefits that I had and the pension, which I would only get a portion of, they're all dead. Yeah. And there were 4, 5, 6 of them, I think, that I had a chat with. It worked. And even some of the people that laughed at me when I was doing this, some friends that I had, told me I was nuts. I can remember one story, and I'm going to tell you that. A lady who lived down the street from where I was living at the time. And at that particular point in time, I had just started, I think it was at the age of 40. I think I was 40, 41. I had just started doing readings for people, channeled readings for people. And every one that I did, I was terrified. I was doing them for free, and I was terrified. But I did them anyways. And I only did it for a little while to practice. I used to, actually at one time I paid a few people to come and sit with me so I could do a reading for them. That's how I wanted to succeed at it, because I wanted it, because it gave me a good feeling. And there was one lady that was there, and she really didn't kind of cotton to what I was doing, because she was from a certain religion who didn't believe that, anyway, so I won't go there. But she didn't really believe in what I was doing was the right thing I should be doing. So anyways, it was kind of funny. She moved away. I didn't see her for about, I don't know, 6, 7 years later. And by that time, I had left the job. I had still the meditation classes going on. Now also, I was actually, at those days, there was no internet, flying to some of our local cities to do readings for people in the bigger cities. And it was getting a bit strenuous kind of thing. And one day I was home, and I went to the local coffee shop for a Tim's. All Canadians will know about Tim's. I used to be a really big Tim fan. And lo and behold, there she was, and she walked right up. Hi, Mel, how you doing? I said, I'm doing okay. She said, you still doing that stupid reading shit? I said, yeah. And they're paying me $50 for half an hour now. Her mouth dropped open, and the look on her face made my whole inside smile. And I knew I was going in the right direction. I absolutely knew it. So I started to create that reality when I was 35, 36. I started. I brought it into fruition at age 40. And we lived where we lived in a very secluded environment. All my clientele was local. So then I got told by source it was time for us to move. We moved to the part of Ontario we are now. I now had to create another reality. It was different. Now we had internet. So I started to create another reality here. This time it was easier. Back into the head. But now I got a bonus on top of that. Because I'd actually done it with authenticity, sincerity, and honesty. And I made a lot of mistakes. I want to tell you that. Mistakes is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. It's a learning curve. But if you make the same mistake 2 or 3 times, then you get a problem. I try to make a mistake only once. And then I attempt to correct it and bring it back into balance or alignment. So mistakes are very, very positive. The gain from them can be incredible. So anyways, what I'm saying to you is this. When I came here, I created a whole new reality. It didn't take me half the time. It only took about a year. And I'm happy. I'm like a little king in my little kingdom. I go when I want to go. I don't need to go out there. And at this point, you know what, I got to tell you so much. When I'm so detached from the world that's out there, I actually view it now. I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I actually see it like a whole bunch of so-called adults still acting like children. And they need all of the trappings and the trimmings and the toys of children growing up. I'm so detached from it. But it's okay. I used to be like that. But what it also means, I'm freeing myself up for even more creativity. I'll give you an example. And this came about 4 or 5 nights ago. I have another side of myself, if you want to call it a guide or a teacher, whatever, comes to me and says, you know what, Mel? You're a very valuable commodity. I said, oh, really? Yep. We got a job for you in the other side. And we've got thousands and thousands of souls waiting to come into timeline reality. And someone like you is very, very badly needed to teach these people and share the experience of what it's like to be in timeline reality with people. Interesting. And I said, how much does it pay? No paydays here, Mel. The reward is in here. And I told him, no, thank you. I'm not ready. I'm going to finish what I'm going to do here before I'm going anywhere. And then I told him, before I do anything in the next adventure, I'm going fishing. And when I go fishing, I'm going to finish the biomolecular, the cellular structure, and change the density of this physical body. So I have plans yet. And when I go fishing, I've already picked a spot. I've already been to it many times in the physical. And I'm going there, and I'm staying there for an unlimited period of time. And I've got myself a nice big Airstream trailer. I like Airstream trailers. Good US product. And I'm going to create some friends. Some of the best fishing equipment you can imagine. And I'm going to stock the lake with all of the speckled trout that you can possibly imagine. 6 and 7 pounders. All right? And I'm going to be fishing for a while. I don't want to see anybody when I want to. I don't want to talk to anybody when I don't want to. I want to be with the most wonderful person in the world. Me. And I want to see what consciousness has evolved to. Totally. Without any of the trappings of limitation, timeline consciousness left in my emotional, mental, or etheric body. I'm a co-creator. Time for you all to be co-creators. What are you doing with it? Plan now. Where you go after is directly indicated by what you create here now. So if you can create in the here now, against all of the odds, all of the temptations that others have created for you to modify your behavior to suit their convenience, then you become a master. A master, you. How about that, sports fans? Good video, huh? Take care. Love you.